Hi everyone, my name is Hsain. I'm the founder and CEO of Terrapetti. I'm also a best-selling author and a speaker. And pretty much each time I'm doing a talk or I'm speaking at an event, I secretly have an objective. And this objective is to have as many people as possible at the end of the event going home and deciding to become entrepreneurs or building an actual business or a startup. So we have a lot of people pretty much who have just graduated, from school this year. We have people who have jobs already and will be deciding if they want to become entrepreneurs or not. We have people who are still trying to figure it out. Maybe they're unhappy in what they do and they feel they just have the DNA of an entrepreneur. So I want each one of these people to understand the philosophy, the mindset, and somehow the process of how you jump into entrepreneurship from idea to execution. So let's get to it. If I can have these slides.
It's a writing.
Yeah, that's idea, from idea to execution, see? Awesome. I think there's a little.
Oh, there is.
Yeah, he's there. Okay. Awesome. Oof. I'm trying to get back to. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So before any type of, sorry for the little, before any type of consideration, I want you guys to understand the context in which we're living, because we're living one of the biggest cultural, digital, and technological shifts of our era. I mean, now you have guys like Elon Musk who are sending rockets to space. You have Amazon who's going to now start shipping through drones. And think about what's going to happen when every human is going to start 3D printing his own coffee machine. And in the United States, you have more US adults that are reached by YouTube than any TV cable network, right? And think about these companies like the GAFA, the Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and Twitter, who in a very shareholder, Wall Street dominated economy, brought the customer at the center of the equation and disrupted any possible industry, from telecommunications, from media, entertainment, from financials. I mean, you name it. And pretty much challenged the concept of addressable market to any connected person. We have 7.3 billion people on Earth, and 2.3 billion people are connected that you can go when after the event you create your own, based on your idea, you can address those 2.3 billion people no matter where they are, right? But what really fascinates me is how companies like Uber pretty much changed the paradigm of how we approach transportation, or companies like AirBNB had us approach housing from a different angle. And those two companies pretty much built the foundation of one of the biggest economical revolutions of our times, which is the people-to-people economy. And us at Terrapetti, we're pretty much building up on this philosophy and bringing to you guys the first ever global homemade food startup from people to people. So I want to tell you 3 stories, for those who don't know me, pretty much about my career. So in the last 10 years, I've been hands-on in action, working with small business owners, working with executives of corporations, with governments, with entrepreneurs, face the most complex challenges. I worked for companies like Ernst & Young, which is one of the biggest auditing and consulting firms. I've built my own consulting companies, had clients like Nissan, the US government, or other entrepreneurs, and pretty much jumped into entrepreneurship fully building Terrapetti. And everybody's wondering, who's this guy at my right? So this is the guy pretty much who gave me my first job. I was at the time in Texas, a young graduate. I wanted to go to the Big Apple, New York City, work at a consulting company, and pretty much I had a month to do it. And yeah, I decided to start applying for jobs. I wasn't having feedback. And I pretty much took my phone and started contacting every single company in Manhattan that I wanted to work for, and pitching them that, hey, I'm a great guy, I want to do this, so you should hire me. And then this is the guy who pretty much gave me my first opportunity 10 years ago. And to this day, he's one of the people I respect the most as a mentor and as a businessman. So the takeaway from that is always have a mentor and then go call people and make it happen. The second story is pretty much about another one of my ventures. Back in time, I worked around a guy that goes by the name of Carlos Ghosn, the CEO of Renault Nissan, who decided to introduce the first zero-emission vehicle or electric vehicle to the masses. And working around that circle, I've documented all of that, writing a book, about electric mobility. And back in times, I tried to have this book published, and then I was turned down by every publisher because I didn't have brand equity, and then the subject wasn't as trendy as it is now when you see guys like Elon Musk. And in a remarkable turn of events, pretty much after when I built my consulting company, I ended up having a client in publishing, and then understanding the whole business model of publishing, then building my own publishing company, and releasing my book finally, which ended up being the #1 book in Amazon France for every transportation category, and in August 2015, being in the 1% most sold books on every category on Amazon France. So you need to believe somehow that the dots will connect as an entrepreneur. But you cannot understand it while you're doing it. You understand it only when you're looking backwards. So the takeaway from this is, still believe in what you do, keep putting the hard work, and then at some point might pay off. The third story is about Terrapetti, which is my venture now, because I feel like everything I did in my career leads to this moment where we're introducing to you guys Terrapetti, the first homemade food startup from people to people. But I got a question for you. Do you know what separates the human species from every other one? It's the fact that we cook our food with fire. And since the beginning of times, food and fire is what brought us all together. Every family gathering, every barbecue, every special moment of our lives was built around food and fire. And now let's put the Michelin stars aside. And it's the most passionate cook that makes the tastiest meal, because a meal made with love is just priceless. Think about the guy who just don't have the time, neither the skills to cook. Think about the vegan woman who's struggling every day to have a vegan meal, or expats, exchange students, and everybody who are craving a meal from their home country, pretty much. So, and everybody who just wants an affordable, healthy, and tasty homemade meal. Well, that's who we are. That's what Terrapetti is about. Homemade meals cooked and delivered from people to people. That was all about my stories. So now, let's get to pretty much the opportunity that you guys have after this two-day event, right? I would like to thank Twitter pretty much also for their involvement in the event, because pretty much they will present to you guys a lot of elements about the API, the Twitter API, and how you can leverage it to build a startup. Another slide. It happens. Anyway, so pretty much the advantage of having something like Twitter. Well, the advantage of having something like Twitter is that you can build an informational commodity. You have 500 million tweets posted every day. You have 6,000 tweets per second. And the way you guys can leverage that is pretty much getting suppliers of information and connecting them with people who need that information, and pretty much being an informational commodity in the middle of that. Yeah. Well, there's something going on with the slides. Yeah, the other element that I want you guys to talk about, beyond any consideration of big data, idea, entrepreneurship, and this subject is not tackled a lot in entrepreneurial events, it's self-awareness. Know who you are, know what you want. You can be the smartest guy on earth, you can have the best idea, you can have the best mentors. If you don't know who you are, if you don't know what you really want to do, you're just losing time. So one thing that I want everybody to keep in mind is working in business or technology or anything else, it's a career. Being an entrepreneur is just part of your DNA. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to figure out a way to be an entrepreneur. You know, if you, and for example, you need to assess and audit yourself about which kind of person you are. So if you are a John kind of person, more structured, like a clear framework, likes to be in very organized organizations, so you need to identify that. If you are more an Albert, like a problem solver, an engineer kind of guy, a researcher, the guys who are gonna, for example, leverage big data, do all the calculation, things like that, so you need to identify it. If you are the Steve kind of guy, the creative, the visionary, the guy who looks at the big picture and is able to get all these people together and deliver, you need to identify it. But no matter which kind of person you are, if you are a John, you need to find the Steve and the Albert to build a company with. But you need to be self-aware enough to identify it and not try to be the Steve just because you see Mark Zuckerberg put a hoodie on and you know, become a billionaire, and this is, you know, the trend that you want to get on. So self-awareness. The next one is as interesting as the previous one, which is, what do you want? I mean, people need to be clear with themselves sometimes. So do you want security? Go work for a corporation, right? Do you want family time? Get a 9-to-5 job and then go home at 6, kiss your kids, spend time with your family and be happy with it, no matter the dollar amount that you get. You want freedom? Build a small business. There's nobody in control of you. You do whatever you want to do. You talk with your clients. And you want to change the world? You want legacy? You want to build the meaningful things? Then be an entrepreneur. I mean, the formula is very clear. The next thing is execution. So I'm a tremendous believer that ideas are nothing and execution is the real game. I mean, everybody had an idea, right? You know, Uber, before Uber, there was a company called Magic Cab, you know? It's just that they didn't execute correctly, and Uber came and then became what it is. So ideas are nothing. Execution is what matters. Now, the next thing is, yeah, so I had this quote, Mark Zuckerberg built a $1 billion business while many people were busy doing MBAs. So now pretty much the context is changing so much that only the MBA can give you a great framework pretty much to understand business in general, but it's changing every single day that only the practice, you know, helps you catch up. I mean, guys like me are in the action every single day. Every day we wake up and then we try to figure out how things are changing and learning how to adapt to the new parameters, you know. So for me, for guys like me, what really matters right now is not having an MBA, but pretty much having an MDS, a master of doing stuff. I mean, you can imagine how many people came to me like, hey, you know, I have an MBA, I have 10 years experience. I'm like, hey, well, get a laptop and impress me. That's the only currency I work. I mean, you know, put the MBA in your house and show it to your mother, your grandmother, be happy with it. But if you cannot find a laptop and impress me, it doesn't mean anything today, right? And arm yourself with hard work and persistence, because success doesn't happen overnight. We live in this era where things happen fast, and it's somehow, you see these millennials, they're 20 years old, and it's the fast food generation. They want it to happen in a week. And look at guys like Warren Buffett, right? So if you look at him at 19, 14, 15, 19, he's making 5,000, 6,000, 10,000, you would say he's a loser, right? So he's spending 5 years just making 20,000. I mean, this guy's a loser. But if he would have stopped at that time, he wouldn't be one of the wealthiest people on earth. So patience and persistence. The next thing is the product. So bet on your strengths, and even bigger than that, triple down on your strengths. And find co-founders, hire people, whatever, to do the other things. The society tells us, gives us a lot of tools to fix what we're not good at doing. I think you should find what you're really great at and pretty much bet on that. And I'll give you a practical example of what we're doing at Terrapetti, because it's a new market. We have a lot of other competitors appearing, and then and most of them raised money. We have 2 of them who raised $2 million already. Two others in California raised 600,000, 800,000, and in June, the 5th competitor raised 1 million, right? And pretty much, it put us in a complicated space because we need to take a strategic decision competing with people who have a lot more money than we do, right? So we decided to triple down on our strengths, and then, as I said, I have a consulting and publishing background, so we decided to become one of the biggest media companies in the food business. And we started contacting food influencers and offering them publishing deals, right? And they're like, hey, well, that's something we're interested in, because they go promote their book and at the same time promote our platform. So we decided also pretty much to give consulting advices to the chefs. So we brought a lot more elements to the table to our suppliers pretty much that other companies cannot, even though they have 2 million, right? So this is tripling down on your strengths. The other one is know who your customers are and solve a clear problem. Don't be romantic about it, because sometimes you start, you're happy, you think you had the right concept, and then you go, and then you talk to your customers and they tell you something different. But your ego leads you to believe, no, this is still a good idea. Don't be romantic. Customers are always right. So, get the feedback, adjust, and then refine the idea. The same way we started talking with chefs, and we realized there is also a cultural background related to food. So we decided also to add culinary travel. Travel built around pretty much chefs who can host you in their house, prepare homemade meals for you, and then tell you stories and the history of the country and the food culture, which is something that doesn't exist in the market today. So this is understanding our customers and what they can offer. The other one is build your product, test with your customers, and keep refining. It's never over. We wake up every single day, and then we refine our product, making it better because the market is changing, the customer need is changing. And the day you believe that you got it, this is where somebody comes up and then, and beats you on the market. So it's a continual process. The other one is customer. So build an actual business that makes money. A lot of people just get in the hype of building a startup. They meet an investor, and then he gives them 1 million, and then they think they got it, but 90% of startups fail because people do not know how to build an actual business that makes money. A lot of companies still don't make money because they are just inflated with the investment amount that's put in them, but when this investment dries up, they get out of business because they don't know how to build. So the big takeaway on that one is at some point the market is going to punch you in the face. How you get back in the game is what's going to make you successful as an entrepreneur. Like, it's interesting because when we got the team initially on Terrapetti, and then they went to the market trying to talk to chefs and customers about that, and they come back and they're like, it's hard. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it is hard. I mean, the market is not going to be there like, oh, I like your product, I'm going to buy 1,000 of it. No, I mean, so you need to learn how to survive from that, because that's what's going to keep you in the game long enough. The other one is be a practitioner of every channel. So, and make a clear difference between sales, marketing, and public relations, because the timing on which you use these 3 things can make or break a company. In the beginning, you want to go on the sales, direct network, because you can leverage that. You can pretty much use your personal network. You can call people. You can email people. You can go to events and talk to people. You pretty much activate things to happen. Marketing is pretty much an investment because you're building a brand, you're building a relationship, but more on the long term. So you want to drop as many content as possible, but it's not going to bring business immediately, right? And then the PR, it's more potential because you build relationships with the media, with influencers, and then you hope that one day they're going to talk about you and it's going to, have a big impact on your business. But on the first month, you cannot bet on public relations because if it doesn't happen, you're going to get out of business. You cannot bet on marketing because that's not what's going to bring sales for you to survive. You want to bet on sales initially, so that's what's going to bring the bottom line and traction figures to what you're doing. And please remember that people don't buy what you do, they also buy why you do it. And there is a reason why people go sleep in front of the Apple store and not in front of a Samsung store, because they don't buy Apple because of what they do or how they do it. They buy it because of why they do it, because they want to change things, they want to challenge the status quo, and they want to empower people. And the last one, and this is really the takeaway from this talk, so business isn't about selling. It's about building relationships. It's about gaining trust and consistently delivering value to your customers. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.